Fine now?
Yeah. Yes, Binduji, we were discussing on the second question.
Right.
The question was regarding the subjective verification. So, we do not have anything externally to cross-verify whether the person is enlightened or not as per Advaita. So, how do we know that the realization is true? It may be a just altered mental status. That would be the probable doubt will everybody having it.
Right.
So what do you suggest how a student, seeker, because now more or less spirituality has become a mafia. It is very difficult for the seeker to find a right guru also. So many people who claim that they are enlightened. But for a general seeker who doesn't know ABC of the spirituality, what could be the way how they can approach the right guru? How they are able to find out that it is just a mental status or the person is really realized? Please.
Your question is exactly what Arjuna asked Krishna. Sita Prakriti Kava. Okay? It is very right on your part to ask that is it or not an altered mental status or something like that. Just as your toothache, even the dentist will not be able to say whether it is gone or it is still there.
Definitely.
You have to say whether your toothache is gone or not. Same is the case with the jnani. When your toothache is gone, you will be enjoying all the meal. You will be not having the frown or a hand on your cheek or something like that. We can only judge from your facial expression and whether your hand there and a thing like that, whether you have a toothache or not. Like that, the only way people to judge whether anybody has got the altered state of mind or whether he's really got the knowledge is from his vyavahara. In the sense that how he conducts himself, if he is still having the raga dvesha, all duality based reactions by anushojana, what the word is that nanushojanti pantita is the word used in the Bhagavad Gita. All reactions on the individual, if he is still based on the ego of the individual, he has not realized what it is. The person who has realized has no ego. He has nothing to be taken from the world, nothing to be given to the world. Now, what is that famous verse in Vakti Evacha Karmani? Krishna says, no? Arjuna,
Nacha partha asti kartavyam.
No, Nana Maptava Maptavyam Vakti Evacha Karmani. That is that. Krishna said that. Neither to be aimed anything or not to be earned from anything, but I continue to serve in this world as if I have something to gain or lose. But that is from his point of view, lokasangrahartam eva kartavya. So that is that. He has no desire of his own to be that.
Yes.
That is the way.
I agree. But the problem in a practical life is that
Yes.
you can definitely wake up a person who is really sleeping. Problem is that here, you said one example of a tooth aching.
Yes.
If a person is really having an ache, okay, that is different category. But the person who is acting that he has a toothache at all the time. Okay, like that we find many people in the market saying that they are enlightened. My problem is that I cannot identify what is the real gold and what is the 10-gram gold.
Agreed.
So, as you said, people when they want to fake, they are more cautious. They act 24/7. So I am requesting you, suggest 1, 2, 3 points where easily can people can find out, because while purchasing the utensils we use that Ayaskanta. If it is made up of iron,
Yes.
it will get attracted, so that I will decide that no, this is pure or not, something like that.
Right.
Is there any way for any of the seekers to identify?
There is no way.
No way.
The reason being, these are all individualistic and personal in nature. The test of the pudding is when such a person is being put to test by the society. Mark my word. When the society does something, how he reacts to, onslaught of abuse or false name and everything, that will make you know that how deep is his knowledge. And he will not, if he is remaining unperturbed in all these things, that fame, what is the last verse of the Bhagavad second chapter? Abhuryamana Ajala Pratishtam. What is that? That shows that. It shows that such a person will not be perturbed in whatever may be the situation. But the person who is sitting on a dais, not giving you access to him, to personally interact and to ask questions, please stay away from such people.
Okay.
That is my advice.
Yeah, good.
If you have a personal access to the person, you can test him. And if you are happy with the test, then you know how to go forward. But a person sitting on the dais with all sorts of jada, udara nimittam bahudala, that is what it is all about. So we have to be very careful about such people.
Yes.
Stay away. That there also, if he is teaching something good, take that, but don't be too close to him. That's all.
Got it. But it gives room for another question now. See, we don't want, when we do not have the ability to bifurcate who is the real guru, who is the fake guru.
Right.
And at the same time, we don't want to, stress too much about that. Can a seeker independently, without depending on anybody, can he get the knowledge of
Yes,
Advaita?
he can.
Maybe he can access YouTube, he can access books available, he can think it.
Yes.
Independently, he can do that exercises and get a realization.
Right.
That is possible?
Possible.
Yes. That is.
Because there is no dependency for this. Advaita is not dependent upon the individual. Because it is the truth. Truth is never dependent on anything. Neither the Shastra nor the teacher, but it is dependent upon the seeker. And the truth is the seeker himself. Tad Tvamasi. When you realize that, you don't need a teacher or a guru to say I have realized or not. Like the doctor cannot tell your toothache has gone or not.
Yeah.
You have to say it is gone or not. Saying it.
Yeah. That's a very nice way of putting it, Bindavji.
I think the Gnaninaha Tattva Darshanaha Davartara, there is a saying also, right? Gnaninaha Tattva Darshanaha. But at least Gnani can show the Tattva to the seeker. That is apparent. Right? That's how one can know. The one who picks up Tattva can know the Gnani.
See, that's what where the problem lies is that, as Advaita was rightly asking, it has become a marketplace with so many people, with so many methods, so many paths, everything saying that this is final one, this my way only is the right way. If that is the case, then I will stay away from such a person by myself.
Yeah.
The reason is that if I have to depend upon anything, I am never going to be independent and free. And if I am going to be free and no dependency for me, it has to be shown a person who never asked me to be dependent on him.
Because on this sit-up Prajna Lakshana, given or told,
Right.
there's no Shastra or Tattva, books written on what to avoid.
No, what is to be the qualities of Sthita Prajna has been given. Means what is to be avoided is the
Is that apparent or is that required in the modern times?
no, it is not apparent or required. A person who has the knowledge of the reality,
Okay.
he will be acting on the reality because he is no more the individual anymore. And for him, Nanam Aptavam Aptavyam. There is nothing Aptavyam nor Anaptavyam. For he has nothing to be gained.
So that means it brings that guardrail. Guardrail is, Sthita Prajna Lakshana.
Yes.
The guardrail gives you the way to avoid such people for the seeker himself. You don't need to go for do's and don'ts, rather go by the guardrails given by the Shastra. Right? That's better, is a highway
Yeah.
than a side road taken. So then it brings that whole importance of that Shruti again.
Shruti, no, see, somewhere it is not the Shruti per se. Shruti is just quoting you some of the methods. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what is that you are going to, as I told you, that guardrail is there, but within the guardrail is somebody is acting and making you dependent on him. Then you cannot, that he is acting, the guardrail is his act only. He is not living by what is meant to be that. So, ultimately, we have to decide.
That's good viveka required.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Now we will come to the applicability part. Because it's a popular either conception or misconception that Advaita Vedanta says that world is mithya. The term, as you know, the mithya has got many meanings. People take it literally. People apply the floriculture, a kind of colored interpretation to such words. Ultimately, so when we dismiss the world, if at all Advaita Vedanta is dismissing the world, where is the applicability of this grand knowledge of Advaita? In the absence of applicability, it serves no purpose. So how to understand the concept of Advaita realization and how to apply it as Sthita Prajna applies in this life? So in what way a seeker can understand these things? Because in the beginning, we are telling that word is illusion. We are telling that word is mithya. We are telling that word is like a swapna. So as if we are discarding, we are dismissing the word, but we are trying to help him to realize the grand truth of Advaita. So once the person realizes that truth, whether this world becomes or eternally becomes a mithya for him or not.
Okay. First and foremost thing, as you rightly said, the most misunderstood word in the whole philosophy is mithya. Advaita, when they use the word mithya, it has got a very paribhashika translation for it. Paribhashika means technical translation. The technical translation is that it is not denying the existence of the world. It is not saying it is an illusion. These two you have to take out from your mind. Advaita is saying the world is existing. The world is the experience in which you are experiencing the multiplicity. But in all this multiplicity, what you are experiencing is guided by the Nama Rupa of the world, but not the reality of the world. The dependency of the world on the reality, when it is not done, we call the world as mithya. That is, dependency on the name and the form. That dependency on the name and the form without the substratum of the existence of anything is the reason why we get confused and fooled by the name and form of the name of the world. When Shankaracharya said that the world is a mithya, all he meant was that the world as Namarupa is changing. But as Sat, existent, Sadatmana, it is Brahma Eva. It is Brahma alone. Because Brahman is Sat. So the world is also Sat. So the world is Sat if you can transact with the world. In your awareness, as the world is also dependent upon the awareness. Nama Rupa is only for a transaction purpose. When we are using, I am using your name as Advaita, Bharata, Bangantu. Like that, the names are used for transaction purpose. That doesn't deny your existence or Bharata's existence or his existence on the reality on which I am getting a real experience. My reality of my experience is not on the name and form. It is because you are real. Bharata is real. Srini is real. But the name and the form are changing. For me, the transaction is with the name and form. But my knowledge is that I am transacting with reality, I am transacting with reality, I am transacting with reality. Therefore, my reaction and transaction is real. What changes, let it change. Because that is the nature of Jagat. The word Jagat is ever changing. So let the names and forms change. Because Bharata, if I had met him 30 years back, and now, he's not the same Bharata whom I am going to see. He has gone changed. But the reality on which that existed at that time and what exists now has not undergone any change. So the transaction at that time and the transaction this time is real based on that. So when he said that, even though this is happening, he, in the name and form and everything, what transaction is doing is for the common benefit of everyone. So that should be what you call Janaseva or Narayana Seva, whatever name you want to say that. It is what you are doing. You are not doing anything else for your own purpose. You are doing it for the purpose of reality. Because you are real, the world is real, the existence of everything is real. The transaction is real. The experience is real, otherwise you will not have an experience. But in that experience when we confuse between the apparent experience and the real experience, we are not able to differentiate between the apparent and the real. To make that difference only, he uses the word mithya for the nama rupa, but the sat is Brahma eva. There is no difference between.
Mritikeva Satyam.
Mritikeva Satyam. Vajarambhanam vikaro namadevim Mritikeva Satyam. That's what it is. The gold is the reality. Ornaments will be changing. I can deform them and make something else also. But that I cannot change the gold.
Sarupa
Will be
same.
never changed. It's the same. That is what it is. What. So when Shankaracharya said that Jagat is mithya, he didn't deny the world. He only denied the apparent based on which we do the transaction. And that's exactly that. The rope, when the example of rope is used, rope had never undergone a change at any point of time. Past, present and future. Rope was the only reality. But in between, I didn't see the rope, I saw the snake, and my reaction and the transaction took place on the snake. So I got scared. My experiences was not caused by a snake which was not there. My experience was caused by the rope which has got a reality. The rope was a reality, therefore my experience is also real. But not knowing the rope as rope gave my mind to think it is a snake, and then the reality of the rope which I should have experienced is now substituted with the snake reality of my experience. Therefore, I got scared. But the moment I knew that it is rope, the snake is gone. My experiences remains the same, that it is a rope, the shape is the same, that I can see the snake appearance in the rope, but I know it is not a snake, but it is a rope. Same way, when I see the names and forms in the world, I know that is all based on the same Brahman, Atman, which is the reality on which our experience. What is Brahman and Atman? Experiences, awareness. And the experiences, content of the experience will change based on the name and form. But the experience, the dependency of the experience is on awareness. That awareness and awareness of the object where I am experiencing the awareness is the same. I am not able to differentiate between them because there is no way I can bifurcate, divide, and it is all continuous. It is one mass of awareness in which everything is happening. So where will I make a differentiation? I can't.
Okay, I got it. But here, the emphasis, I think, is there any technical correct term in English which really conveys the mithya? Most of the people use illusion.
That's rot.
That has led into
Yes.
many confusions for so many seekers.
I told you, it's the wrong word.
Yes.
The only word which you can use, if at all you want to use, is dependent reality.
Yes, I definitely agree. I definitely agree on that part. Because when we use the phrase like dependent reality, it's altogether, gives a different sense. When you use the word illusion, it gives a different sense, which Shankara is not intended.
Yes. He has not intended.
He is not, never intended that. That was one point. That was a very good point. One more point. When we do talk about, see, when in Vedanta Dimdima, Shankara says that Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Here the whole emphasis is on Brahma Satya aspect. Jagan Mithya is an inevitable step to realize the substratum of the Brahman. But most of the time, the importance is being twisted. Much importance is being given to Jagan Mithya. Forgetting the core teaching of Advaita Vedanta, even that has led into a
I
problem.
agree with you. Now, if I have to translate this, Brahma Satyam means Brahman is the only reality. Jagan Mithya doesn't mean Jagat is an illusion.
Yes.
But Jagat is a dependent reality on the reality of Brahman. And therefore, the Jiva and the Jagat or Ishvara or whatever may be there, it's all dependent upon the same Brahman only. Nama, Rupa, Vityasa. That is all the differences.
See, the beauty of this approach is it will harmonize the other ways of thinking also. Because suppose now Madhvacharya is telling that this Jagat is Nashvara. What is Nashvara according to him? It keeps on changing. It is never the same. It is Anitya in that context. Shankara is trying to say the same thing. And both Shankara is also telling that Brahman is the eternal reality. Here Madhva is also telling that Narayana alone is the self-dependent reality. So by using the proper terms, what I feel that in Vedanta, using the original Sanskrit is best recommended, if it is not at least the nearest term which conveys the idea, would minimize the conference and unnecessary questions and will help the sadhak to understand it in a real sense and proceed. Otherwise, we will end up in doing what we are not supposed to do. That's how it is happening.
Right.
Yes, because when you say that the world is illusion, out of the ignorance, it leads to many questions. It leads to questions on ethical implications. It leads to the questions on morality, everything. But if you take the perspective that a mithya in this sense, all aspects will get their a place, a proper place.
Yes.
Jagat, Jiva, Ishvara, you may take anything, morality, dharma, adharma, all things will get a meaning, and definitely from the perspective of Paramarthika also, there is no any confusion. So I think this is one of the very good point which Binduji has clarified. That's, everybody has to recognize that. Yes, Binduji, one more, it's 1:10 now, I think we can have one more
question. One question more.
one more
Before
question.
lunch, then
Before lunch.
after lunch we can meet.
Yeah. In Advaita Vedanta, popularly, almost all, you may take any school of thought, especially from the traditional school of thought.
Right.
In no way you cannot bifurcate the concept of Ishvara and the concept of Brahman from the ritualistic conduct, from even from pravachans, even from the books and materials, even from the usage of by Shankara himself. In some cases he uses Shabala Brahma, Nirguna Brahma. In some cases for Brahman only he uses Ishvara. In some cases pure Ishvara, in case of Shabala Brahma. Like that, there is overlapping connotations, overlapping usages by Shankaracharya alone. Now, is there any sense in putting Nirguna Nirakara Parabrahma at the highest pedal and Saguna Sakara Parabrahma in the lower category, while we speak on the Ishvara or while we speak on the Parabrahman? The point, what I am trying to say is that there is a trap here. If at all, even Shankaracharya recognizes that while doing in Chandogya, Mandavatis will decide that I am talking about Shunyatva. The way I am explaining the Brahman, when Shankara tells that it is Nirvishesha, it is Nirguna, Nirdvandva, Niranjana, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta Swabhava. People may think that I am talking about Shunyata. There he pinches, he tells that no, I am talking about that Parabrahman, Atma Tattva, which is the substratum of everything. And at the same time, he relies on Shruti also for Ishvara. While talking on Isha Upanishad, he gives the definition of Ishvara also. There is a little confusion among the seekers whether Advaita is a system with God or without God approach. Conveniently, if you take Avasthatraya Chandrika or Avasthatraya Mimamsa, you can keep away the Ishvara also. There is a possibility. You can keep away Ishvara and present the Advaita. If you take the root of other things, you can keep Ishvara. That's not at all a problem because Maya is a liability to us, but Ishvara it is an asset. So we can explain in many ways. So I request you to clarify the position of this Parabrahman and Ishvara Tattva. Are they one and the same? Or is there any hierarchy between them? How a seeker of Advaita Vedanta should look into this. I think it is little technical, but in general sense, we will have technical session later in second half or tomorrow. But in a general, for Samanya Sadhaka, what his attitude towards to Ishvara while pursuing the path of Advaita?
There is no gradation, there is no differentiation between any of the things. Truth is only one, and that name and form or the technology or terminology which you use has no relevance at that level. But what happens is that a person who has grown up in a certain conditions, by the Vedic period I am talking about, doing the rituals and doing the what you call Vidhi Nisheda, etc. Dharma is a very daunting concept for such a person. So to keep people within the dharmic aspects of Veda, and not only that, a person who is in the path of dharma is the one who is doing the social justice, benevolency and empathy to the world. Sarva prani. There is no differentiation for such a person who is
Bhutadaya.
Bhutadaya. Yeah, Bhutadaya. So for him to remain in that, the transactional aspects when we bring in, we have to control, say that there is a Ishita, a controller for all the Buddhas. Now, that controller, from the same Sanskrit root Ish, which is Ishta, is the one that Ishara is also being, who is a controller of it. As a individualized jiva, when I am looking at it, I am not in control with the world. I am not even in control with my own things in the household. Forget about my own day-to-day duties. Dharmam janani, adharmam janani. Right? Right. That in spite of that, kenadi devena, when somebody is controlling me from outside, I have now dependency. To understand that dependency, that as long as we think of our individualistic living and the world in place with dharma which is controlling the whole thing, we accept Ishvara as the creator for the experiences. But when you talk about Tattva, Ishvara Tattva and Brahma Tattva are not different. Because if you look from awareness point of view, awareness is what is the experiences are all. So the awareness which is not having any names and forms or the individualities or the multiplicity is the pure awareness, where now the creator of this awareness can be called the Ishvara. He is not different from Brahma. That is why I said there is absolutely no difference between the two.
Yes.
You call it Narayana, you call it Shiva, you call it any name for that matter, or you want to call him Brahma, or you don't want to call him any name.
That's right.
Yathovadro nivartante aparapya manasa.
That's
That
right.
is also acceptable.
Yes.
You don't want to call him, so then the people will think it's only Narayana or Krishna. What about Christ or Allah or anybody we can ask? People can ask. So don't have to take a name. But if you are comfortable with certain names or certain lifestyle which you have been doing it, start with that. Ultimately, your Chitta Shuddhi, where you will be able to realize your own nature. When you realize that, that is the time Aham Brahmasmi will become your reality. That Brahma and Narayana or Ishvara is not different. So all the three can be codified or merged together at the level of Paramarthika. But at the Vyavaharika level, before we reach to the Paramarthika level, we need, just like reaching Bangalore, we have many routes from there. All nameplates on the road are relevant to that particular road only.
Correct.
You cannot take that nameplate saying I will go through this road. No, it will not work. So we need to understand that methodologies are dependent on the path which you take. That doesn't mean Madhva is wrong, Ramanuja is wrong, or Shankara is right. Nothing like that. Paths are given, but what happens is that the Vyagrata among the individuals or the followers, they want to twist and limit everything to their path. You will not reach Bangalore through if you go through the sub-routes. You have to take only the expressway. Then only you will reach Bangalore. They will not allow you to take any other route. But those who have tried out have found out that any route you can reach Bangalore. It is like that. So I have no disagreement or any fighting with people who are sticking to that their particular path. God save them. Let their faith, your faith, let your faith save you. Whatever is doing good, that is the only way it is that.
Beautiful. 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 Yeah, you can make a.
See, their life and our life are not different. They are living because they have got certain what you call knowledge, jnana. They got a jnana based on which they decided to live that way. But the jnana is not because they live it like that. It is the jnana which anybody, it's open to everyone. You can also get, he can also get, I can also get, anybody can get. After getting the jnana, when we live, we are born with some prarabdha karma. Right? So my prarabdha karma will be the one based on which my body will work. I am not the body. My body will continue to work as per the prarabdha. And it is not that this body and this prarabdha is the reality. That jnana which is known to me, that is why I am able to say my body and my this thing will continue to work. But not for me. But those who see me as my body do not know what is my knowledge. They will see me in body and working in the body of the working. You understood that?
Yeah, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು ಅವ್ರದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳೋದೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಮಹಾತ್ಮರು, ಅವ್ರ ಜೀವನ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಬೇರೆ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಅವ್ರ ಜೀವನ ಒಂದೇ ಥರವಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಏನು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಕರ್ಮ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆ ಕರ್ಮ ನಿತ್ಯ ಕರ್ಮ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ನೈಮಿತ್ತಿಕ ಕರ್ಮ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಕರ್ಮ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಜನ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಅದು ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಕರ್ಮ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ದ ಬಾಡಿ, ನಾನು ದೇಹ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ನನಗೊಂದು ದೇಹ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸು, ಇದೇ ಜ್ಞಾನ. ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ನಾನು ನನ್ನನ್ನು ದೇಹ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಆಗ ನನಗೆ ಅಜ್ಞಾನ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ನಾನು ದೇಹ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಅಹಂಕಾರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಆತ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಯಾವಾಗ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಇದೇ ಜ್ಞಾನ. ಇದೇ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಮಹಾತ್ಮರಿಗೂ ಇತ್ತು, ನಮಗೂ ಇತ್ತು. ಆದರೆ ಅವರು 4 ಮಂದಿಗೆ ಹೇಳೋಕೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಯಿತು, ಹೇಳಿದರು, ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಳೋಕೆ ಬರೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಈ ಅರ್ಥದೊಳಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಏನು ಭಾಳ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್. ಜ್ಞಾನ ಮುಖ್ಯ.
If there had been a difference in the knowledge, Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Lahiri Mahasaya, all of them will be living one type of life. They should all live one way. But Ramana Maharshi was there in Arunachala and in that cave and living there. Nisargadatta Maharaj was making beedi and selling the beedi and living his life. Lahiri Mahasaya was doing the Kriya Yoga and teaching the Kriya Yoga and everything. So if truth is one, Satyam Ekava, if the one truth, Eka Satya, if it is not shown the same to everyone, all of them should be living in the same way. They should have all become like that. Like Dakshinamurti, they should have been sitting, all of them. But they didn't. What difference does it make? Because their bodies were with karma, and that body karma was going on, but that didn't affect their knowledge.
ಈಗ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪರಮಹಂಸರಾಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ರಮಣ ಮಹರ್ಷಿಗಳಾಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಲಾಹಿರಿ ಮಹಾಶಯ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಜೀವನ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಿರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಗೆ ಬದುಕಿದ್ರು. ಈಗ ರಮಣ ಮಹರ್ಷಿಗಳು ಅರುಣಾಚಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಗುಹೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದ್ದರು. ನೀವು ನಿಸರ್ಗದತ್ತ ಮಹಾರಾಜಿಗೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಬೀಡಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಬೀಡಿ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರೋ ದುಡ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಜೀವನ ಸಾಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಲಹರಿ ಮಹಾಶಯ ಮೊದಲು ಅವನು ಕ್ರಿಯಾಯೋಗ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಜೀವನ ಸಾಗಿಸ್. ಹೀಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೇ ಥರ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಅವರದ್ದೇ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಕರ್ಮ ಇದೆ. ಈ ದೇಹ ಏನದಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ. ನೀವು ನಿತ್ಯ ಕರ್ಮ, ನೈಮಿತ್ತಿಕ ಕರ್ಮ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಕರ್ಮಗಳು ಆಗಾಮಿ ಕರ್ಮ ಅಥವಾ ಸಂಚಿತ ಕರ್ಮ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸಂಚಿತ ಕರ್ಮ. ಜ್ಞಾನ ಬಂದಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಕಳೆದು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ಬರುವುದು ಏನು ಕರ್ಮ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ನಿಂತು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಏನದಲ್ಲ ಈ ದೇಹ ಇದು ಮುಗಿವರೆಗೂ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಆ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಕರ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅವರು ಬದುಕಾಕತ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀವು ಬದುಕಾಕತ್ತೀರಿ. ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನು, ಜ್ಞಾನ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ.
Purana, if you look at it, Janaka is there, Vyadha was there, then if you look, Sulabha as a monk, then Sri Krishna, Jagadguru, Sri Rama crying for his wife. Everybody was living their life, no? Each one had their own life, but they were all having knowledge of the reality, right?
ಪುರಾಣಗಳು ಹೇಳೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಮಹಾಭಾರತ ರಾಮಾಯಣ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಹೇಳೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರಾಮ ಇದ್ದ, ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಇದ್ದ, ಓಕೆ, ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮ ಇದ್ದ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಜನಕ ಮಹಾರಾಜ ಇದ್ದ. ಅವರು ಬದುಕಿದ್ದ ಹಾಗೆ. ರಾಮ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡ ಕಣ್ಣೀರು ಹಾಕಿದ, ಅವನು ಸೀತೆಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಕ್ಷಿಸಿದ. ಅವನು ಬದುಕು ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕು ಆ ಅರ್ಥದೊಳಗೇನು ಬೇರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವನು ಮರ್ಯಾದಾ ಪುರುಷೋತ್ತಮ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಜಗದ್ಗುರು ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಹಂಗಂತೇಳಿ ಬದುಕು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಬದುಕು ಎಲ್ಲರದು ಒಂದೇ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಒಂದೇ, ನಮ್ಮದು ಒಂದೇ. ಅಂದರೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇಷ್ಟೇ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದಷ್ಟೇ ಕರೆಕ್ಟು, ಅವ್ರು ಹಂಗೆ ಹೊಂಟಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮದು ತಪ್ಪು, ನಾವು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೊಂಟೀವಿ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡ.
ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ನಾನು ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ. ಅದರ ನಾಳೆಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸಂತೋಷ, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನೇ ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಇದು ಒಂದಿನ ಆಯಿತು ಸರ್.
While he was meditating, he used to lose himself. He used to even forget that where he is. Okay, that happened him many a times, I think. That's what he is telling.
But one thing which you should remember, that anything which is an experience, you are the experiencer for it. But you cannot ever experience yourself.
ಈಗ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಏನು ಅಂತಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಏನೇ ಅನುಭವಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವ. ಆದರೆ ಈಗ ಕಣ್ಣು ಜಗತ್ತನ್ನು ನೋಡುತ್ತೆ, ಕಣ್ಣು ತನ್ನನ್ನು ತಾನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೌದಿಲ್ಲ? ಹಂಗೆ ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ನೀನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ನೀ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಆ ಅನುಭವ ಹೇಳತ್ತಾರೆ. ಹೇಳ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತೇನು ಹೇಳ್ರಿ, ಟೈಮ್ ಐತೆ. ಏನಿಲ್ವಾ? ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾಳೆನೂ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗಾದರೂ ಬಂದು.
Yeah, my first question is about self-realization. Okay, so does self-realization improve our normal life, the material life, the day-to-day life? Does it improve in any way?
First of all, before answering that, I want to know what is your idea about self-realization or self-knowledge, what you are talking about. If there is a misconception on that, I have to clear that first, then answer your question.
Okay, my idea of self-realization is the knowledge of the consciousness, the prajna, right? So the awareness, or recognizing that I am not the body and I am not the mind, but I am something beyond that. So that is my idea of the self-realization.
You are not very far off. from your right actually. When you know this, that you are not the body and the mind and this identity which you think you are now as Gopal, what happens to all the activities Gopal wants to do?
So then I will not be taking it very seriously.
You will not be taking it seriously, or you will look at it in a different view.
Yeah, so I will be looking at it at a broader.
Broader sense.
Yeah.
If you look at it in a broader sense, will your approach to your life and your way in which you react? See, all our life is something comes and we react.
Yes.
Experience and reactions. This is our life.
Yes.
When you know that it is not the body, mind, and intellect, but you are the awareness or consciousness. The things which you come to you as experience and the way you react. Will there be a difference between the earlier Gopal and the one Gopal who knew the reality?
Yeah, there is a difference.
So you have the answer for it. You know that there will be a difference.
Yeah, but one thing is here, when in some so, but in some situations we forget that state and we get into the troubles.
This happens because you are not had a resolution or resolve of the knowledge which you have learned in the theory. The theory and practice are different. Intellectually, you can have the knowledge, but that may not bring any change in the individual. But the knowledge, if it becomes your own, your approach will change. For example, if you are told that you will become a father, you will start looking at the children who are playing around you with a different interest. Till then, you were not interested in the children that playing around you. They were just children playing and going and things like that. You would walk through them. They are playing football or ball or cricket. Sometimes if it hits you, you may be angry on them. But when you knew that you have become a father, your interest on the children and their behavior, attitude has brought in a change. That knowledge that I have become a father has brought in a resolve in you or a conviction in you that now I am a father, I have to, now I have a child of my own.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
That is the one which brings in the change. Same way, when you know that you are not this body, mind and complex, you are the consciousness, the knower of all experiences. Not what is being experienced or going through the experience, but the knower of the experiences. Your way in which you look at the experiences, the way in which you react to the experiences will be different when you are not knowing that.
So, yeah, so and one more question related to that. So, in your experience, how this spirituality changed you, like in the normal your life?
See, the thing is that, like everybody else, I also had some expectation of something different going to happen to me. But when I went into the depth of it, went the full 9 yards, I knew that there is no change in that's going to happen. I was that even before I started the 9 yards. So nothing has changed. am still the same window and all, but only thing is that I have the knowledge of who am I.
And how did it, your family and your friends, etc. So, did they find any difference in you, like from their point of view?
Definitely there has been change as an individuality in me. But that is not sudden. That sudden one day I got horns or aura or anything like that. It happened over a period as my knowledge becomes firm and resolve becomes more established. My way in which I react to things started changing. So they also noticed it, but for them, why did that change take place was not known to them. They don't know why that change has happened. So they, over a period, you were earlier like that, you used to get angry very fast. Nowadays you don't seem to be even bothered about it. Oh, these type of things they used to be. To tell you very frankly, neither my wife nor my daughter is interested in Advaita. They know that I am wedded to that and I am 24/7 happy with that. They think that yes, you are happy, you be happy in that, we are happy with what we are. So I also say that I am happy for what I have studied and gained. I am happy that you are happy. I left it at that.
Okay. So you did not impose.
No, you can't impose. That's what I was telling you.
No conversion, no missionary business. Conversion is not there.
Okay. So, okay, next, one more question. So this is with regards to the spirituality or self-revelation, what we are talking about. So assume that there are people some simple people in the life, village, right? So they are happy with their own life and all. They don't know anything, Advaita, they don't know all these things. They simply lead their life. So now, is there, or maybe, I don't know, out of the city, but maybe in city also there may be people like that. So if they are, basically the question is, if one is happy with their life, so is there any need for the spirituality or these concepts?
See, there are two ways of happiness. Temporary happiness and permanent happiness. The temporary happiness is when you don't have problems. But when you have problems or when you see problems for others, you want to know why this happiness is not permanent. Why people cannot be all the time, all the people, why not be always happy? That question will come to your mind. Is there a means for it? Only those who observe that and ask this question, is there is something called permanent happiness, will be looking for solution for it. Others are happy, they were studying, they were happy when they were playing, or I had a girlfriend, or things like that in their life. Then they were unhappy because they were not getting a job. When they got a job, again they became happy. In the job they became unhappy because there's somebody else got an increment more or a salary more and I got salary less. Or somebody will think I got good salary enough, I can enjoy everything. Then they will be going on. Then you will find that the money value is decreasing. The money what you have been gaining is not sufficient for you to enjoy. So you want to make more money. So you start stock trading or daytime trading and things like that. Then you find that you lost all the money. So you became all the more unhappy. Then you said, well, then let me get married because I'll get some dowry or some sweetana and all those things. Then you got married. Now after marriage, you should be left free to be happy. No, that is the time when the pressure comes from the mother-in-law and the father-in-law or your father and mother saying that you are married for the last 4 years, you don't have a child. So for making them happy, you create a child. Like that, life is always putting pressure on you for the happiness. When you realize that these temporary happinesses are not going to be lasting and giving happiness, that's the time when you will start searching for, is there anything which, where I can be permanently happy?
So, in other words, can we say that the people who search, go into that, can we also say that they are kind of more, they are expecting more, or like kind of, I don't know the word, but maybe are they more greedy? Because of that, then only they will get into that kind of thinking, because they want happiness all the time.
You can't call it as greediness. Greediness is basically when I want to take something from others for my happiness.
Okay.
This happiness which you are looking for, you don't want to do with anything and anybody. So it is not a greedy type of happiness what you are talking about. So the word greedy is a wrong usage.
Yes.
Okay. But looking for a permanent happiness is because by nature we are permanent.
By nature, we are permanent.
Yes, we are eternal. But we do not know that. That is there working in all of us to expand time and spread as much as possible or vyapakata. Why? Because when we are taking any action which we are doing, we are thinking that I am immortal, tomorrow will be definitely there for me. Even though I see 100 people dying every day, I am going to be alive tomorrow. And I am planning for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, as my son's marriage or my grandson's birthday. All those things are in our plan. Because why? We think we are immortal. There is a hidden force in us thinking that we are immortal.
So that's the intuition that tells us that we are immortal.
It is the truth.
Okay.
But when we think we are the body, we know we are going to die. That is also there. So we are all caught up.
So there is a conflict.
There is a conflict and there is an ignorance which is playing between us. Same way, when I am buying a property, I am buying another property, I want to expand in the space. When I am looking for, I am traveling abroad, I am going this, all those things is expansion in space and time. Space to expand through space and time is what becomes our prime motive for our activities in the world. But those who are looking for this happiness are not people who are looking for expanding in space and time. They knew that there is a never end to that. Expanding in space and everlasting for on the time. Because they know the body is limited. They know that whole world cannot be occupied by it. They know both. So those are the people who know that even though we are being pushed into these activities, we are not going to achieve it. So they want to know, is there any means through which I can be eternal, I can be happy all the time. Happiness is not my request. Happiness all the time is my request. Those are the people who look for where can I get this knowledge or where can I get that jelly or that capsule which will give me these answers.
Yeah, when I spoke about the sadness part, somebody getting upset.
We take a break for this.
Can it trigger that quest
Yes.
for spirituality when somebody gets into that?
It is called as temporary vairagya.
Abhava vairagya?
That vairagya which you get at that time is because you are fed up of whatever problem is there. But memory is short for human life. What happens? You will forget about that problem, and your vairagya also will go along with it. We have that 9, I told you, no? The 9 type of
Smashana vairagya.
Smashana vairagya, prasudi vairagya, etc. All those things. All these vairagyas are momentary because of issues which are related to that. But the vairagya which we are talking about in the spirituality is born out of viveka. That need to know what is eternal, what is not eternal. That brings us to a question and inquiry. When we see, whatever we see in the world is becoming not eternal. But I am the one who is seeing the changes. There has to be an eternity present in me to know the changes. Then you turn inward. What is that eternity in me which makes me feel that eternity in me and not in the objects outside? That is the time the self-enquiry starts. Avrita chakshu amrutatvam ichcha. We turn inward to look where is the source of permanency in me. Because I am permanent and seeing the changes. So I have to be permanent. My body has gone through change. My life has gone through change. My emotions have gone through change. My relationships have gone through change. My world has gone through change. Everything that I know has gone through change. I am the one who is knowing the change. So there has to be some sort of a permanency or longer, can be temporary also, can be a longer permanency compared to the changes which I am seeing. So when I look for what is that in me which has noted the changes, that is the time when the real enquiry into the self-knowledge starts. Self-knowledge is knowing who is the self in me, which is even noticing the changes into my body. From the childhood till this date, I have changed. My body has changed. My emotions have changed. My values have changed. My family has changed. My society has changed. The world has changed. There is nothing which is not unchanging. But I am noticing these changes. So there has to be something unchanging which is noticing these changes. Who is that or what is that? If that enquiry is now triggering you to find out that what is that, then you are embarking on self-knowledge or spiritual knowledge.
So when you say, we are observing the changes in our body, one thing what my experience is, when I go deeper and look into that, of course there is a changes in the body, but I don't feel that. I feel that when I am a 10-year-old kid, and now if I close my eyes and see, I don't see any difference in that. I feel the same person when I was 10 years old also, because I remember in my childhood when some moments in my life, right? So maybe some particular day or something, when I was alone. And I remember that day. And now I am here. I don't see any difference in that. I am the same entity.
Yes.
So what is that? That is what you are we referring to as that unchangeable thing?
No. That is, you are comparing with your experiencer as a memory with your current experience as an experiencer. The two are different.
Okay.
You cannot go back there to that point of time of your memory and relive that experience.
Yes.
It's only a memory.
Okay.
So you are now comparing your vritti jnana in the memory with the current vritti, which is vritti means thought. Current thought, which is giving the experience, and you are comparing between these two and making the comparison, saying that there is something which is common for both. There is a I as Gopal, that memory holder or who experienced that, and this Gopal, which is now, who is having the memory of that 10-year-old experience, and you are bringing that into